te matekai tō hoariri whangaia ki te matewai whakainumia te hei Maori ora. Kuroria ki te atua te kaihanga, te kai whakamari e te kai homaia te ora. I maungarongo ki tōna iwi, ki runga ki te whenua. Whakanuia te ingoa o te atua ki ngā tuarangi, whakapainga, whakamoe me titia moa ki tōnu atu. Āmene. I ngā iwi o Toronga Moana, tēnā koutou. I ngā iwi tiriti o Toronga Moana, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, kia ora tātou katoa. My name is John Hebbington and I am the vicar of the Anglican Church which sits at Gate Pa on the battle site of the Battle of Gate Pa, Te Pakanga or Pukehinahina. April the 29th this year marks the 156th anniversary of this battle. A battle that changed everything for ngā iwi o Toronga Moana, that and the battle at Te Ranga, and then the following surrender, which was then followed by the Bush campaign shortly afterwards. All of those changed the landscape, it changed Maori access to land, and for some hapu like Ngāi Tamarawaho was absolutely devastating. But also out of those battles came Tauranga Town and then Tauranga City. We enjoy our lifestyle here because of those battles, for good or for worse. Part of our mission, you might say, our kaupapa for being on that site as an Anglican church, is to help people remember that battle and to know the consequences of those battles and the decisions made after those battles for Maori in particular. And as we know the history, we can begin to find a just way of living together in the present and future. Normally on April the 29th at 4 o'clock as a parish we would gather and invite a number of people to gather on that site to hear the story again, to have time of reflection, to ring the bell 60 times. It's always good to get the right number, 60 times, to remember all those who died, Maori and British, and then to have a speaker. Well, this year we can't do that. This year we are still in level 3 lockdown, and that precludes us gathering in our buildings. So we're hoping that by posting this short reflection, that will help people stop and mark this day in some way. In a moment, the Lieutenant Colonel Cliff Simons, who's a member of our parish, will read one of the accounts of the battle. After that, there'll be a ringing of the bell 60 times, and then a final prayer from me. We may be able to put up some other reflections as the day goes on. So please use this material to stop, to think about the events of this day, to think about the consequences of these events, and how we might, in the future, build a better society for all in Tauranga Moana. Ngā mihi nui, ngā mihi aroha, kia koutou.
Over the last 5 years, when we have commemorated the battle in the 60 Bells service, we've read out the account by the Ngāti chief, Hoariri, and that was an account that he gave to the Native Department, as it was known at the time, when he was in Wellington in 1903. So he would have been quite an elderly man at that point. And this was 39 years after the battle. So probably more accurately describe that as a recollection. So this year, just to change things around a little bit, I'm going to read General Cameron's report of the battle. That was written on the 5th of May, so that was just under a week after the battle took place. Now, British officers were required to report to their superiors on things such as this battle, and they had to outline the casualties, the decisions they took, why they made them, and what happened. So this is part of, I won't read the whole thing, but this is part of Cameron's report to Governor Grey. Having received information that by moving along the beach of one of the branches of Te Ranga Harbour at low water, it was possible for a body of troops to pass outside the swamp on the enemy's right and gain the rear of the position, I ordered Colonel Greer to make the attempt with the 68th Regiment after dark on the night of the 28th, and in order to divert the attention of the enemy from that side, I ordered a feigned attack to be made on his front. Colonel Greer's movement succeeded perfectly, and on the morning of the 29th, he had taken up a position in the rear of the enemy, which cut off his water supply and made his retreat in daytime impossible, but was necessarily too extended to prevent his escape by night. So that means that the British troops were going to be too spread out to be able to stop people escaping the Pa during the night. I enclosed Colonel Greer's report of his proceedings. So Colonel Greer had to report to Cameron, and so Cameron forwards Greer's report to Grey. During the same night, the guns and mortars were placed in position and opened fire soon after daybreak on the morning of the 29th. I gave directions that the fire should be directed principally against the left angle of the centre work, which, from the nature of the ground, I considered the most favourable part to attack. Their practice was excellent, particularly that of the howitzers, and reflects great credit on the officers in command of the batteries. About 12 o'clock, a swamp on the enemy's left, having been reported by Colonel Greaves, Deputy Assistant Quartermaster General, to be practicable for the passage of a gun, a 6-pounder Armstrong gun was taken across to the high ground on the opposite side, from which its fire completely enfiladed the left of the enemy's position, which he was thus compelled to abandon. So enfiladed means that it was able to fire along the line of the trenches. The fire of the guns, howitzers and mortars was continued with short intermissions until 4 p.m, when a large portion of the fence and palisading having been destroyed and a practicable breach being made in the parapet, I ordered the assault. 150 seamen and marines under Commander Hay from HMS Harrier and an equal number of the 43rd Regiment under Lieutenant Colonel Booth formed the assaulting party. Major Ryan's detachment was extended as close to the work as possible to keep down the fire from the rifle pits, with orders to follow the assaulting column into the work. The remainder of the seamen and marines and of the 43rd Regiment, amounting to almost 300 men, followed as a reserve. The assaulting column, protected by the nature of the ground, gained the breach with little loss, and effected an entrance into the main body of the work, when a fierce conflict ensued, in which the natives fought with the greatest desperation. Lieutenant Colonel Booth and Commander Hay, who both led into the work, fell mortally wounded. Captain Hamilton was shot dead on the top of the parapet while in the act of encouraging his men to advance, and in a few minutes almost every officer of the column was either killed or wounded. Up to this point, the men, so nobly led by their officers, fought gallantly and appeared to have carried the position, when they suddenly gave way and fell back from the work to the nearest cover. This repulse I am at a loss to explain, other by attributing it to the confusion created amongst the men by the intricate nature of the interior defences and the sudden fall of so many of their officers. On my arrival at the spot, I considered it inadvisable to renew the assault and directed a line of entrenchment to be thrown up within 100 yards of the work, so as to be able to maintain our advanced position, intending to resume operations the following morning. The natives, availing themselves of the extreme darkness of the night, abandoned the work, leaving some of their killed and wounded behind. On taking possession of the work in the morning, Lieutenant Colonel Booth and some of the men were found still living, and, to the credit of the natives, had not been maltreated, and nor had any of the bodies of the dead been mutilated. I enclose a list of our casualties. I deeply regret the loss of the many brave and valuable officers who fell in the noble discharge of their duty on this occasion. The 43rd Regiment and the service have sustained a serious loss in the death of Lieutenant Colonel Booth, which took place in the night after the attack. I have already mentioned the brilliant example shown by this officer in the assault, and when I met him on the following morning as he was being carried off out of the work, his first words were an expression of regret that he had found it impossible to carry out my orders. The heroism and devotion of Captain Hamilton and Commander Hay reflect the highest honour on the naval service. The loss to the enemy must have been very heavy, although not more than 20 bodies and those wounded were found in and around the position. It is admitted by the prisoners that they carried off a large number of killed and wounded during the night, and they also suffered in attempting to make their escape, as described in Colonel Greer's report. In my reports to His Royal Highness, the Field Marshal, the Commanding-in-Chief, and the Right Honourable the Secretary of State for War, I have brought to their favourable notice the names of the officers who particularly distinguished themselves on this occasion. Commodore Sir William Wiseman, on this, as in every other occasion, cooperated with me in the most cordial manner, and I am much indebted to him as well as to the whole of the officers and men of the Royal Navy and the Marines who took part in these operations for their valuable assistance. I have the honour to be your obedient servant, D.A. Cameron, Lieutenant General.
invite us to spend a moment in prayer. So let us pray. E te atua kaharawa, kai hanga, te kai whakamari e, te kai homai o te ora. God most holy, Creator, pain bearer, life giver. Your desire is for peace and justice among all people. As we gather here today, we remember the words of St. Paul. Ki te matekai ko hoariri, whangaia, ki te matewai, whakainumia. If your enemy is hungry, feed him. If he is thirsty, give him drink. Words that were lived out by the Maori defenders at Pukehinahina. Words of compassion and generosity. Help us all as we stop to mark this day to be as compassionate and generous. Help us to find ways of marking this story. We may build a better future. Help us to build a world where peace is brought closer. Help us to be generous so that we may share our food with others. Help us to dream of a better world, the world that you dream of. Renew in us the longing for your peace and the will to work for it. May we be your messengers of peace. Take wing, O messengers of peace. Carry the words to the multitudes. Sow it in wisdom, sow it in truth. And may the God of love, Creator, Redeemer, and Giver of life, be the feathered cloak that enfolds us all. E rere ana karere, a Te Ranga Māori e. Kawi o te kupu ki te tini ki te mano. Rui o rongo te whakaro nui. Rui o rongo te whakaro pono. Waiho ko te aroha, te atua, mātua, tama, wairoa tapu. He kakahu kiwi mo, aia nei a āki tonu a atu. Amen. We would appreciate hearing any comments that you have. Please add those to the comments section. We look forward to hosting you at the latest next year. There is a possibility that we'll be able to do something on the 21st of June, the anniversary of the Battle of Te Ranga, but we are waiting to see how these levels play out and whether that will be possible. At the moment, even under level 2, that would not be possible in our building, but we will wait and see what happens.